possible prosecutorial misconduct in the Ahmaud Arbery shooting. The state's GBI director, Dick Reynolds, says the attorney general did ask him to look into possible misconduct after the first two prosecutors assigned to the killing of the unarmed black jogger never brought charges against the two white men who admitted to killing him.
What will procedurally happen is we will turn that file over to the attorney general's office. They will be the deciding agency or entity in what, if anything, happens in that regard.
The white father and son who admit killing the victim, who was black, back in February, say they believed he was a burglary suspect. They went 2 months, though, without being arrested until a video of the incident went viral. At least dozens of people are feared dead after a jetliner crashed in the Pakistani city of Karachi earlier today at the end of a 90-minute flight from Lahore. Officials say it was carrying 99 passengers and a crew of 8 when it went down into some homes. This is USA Radio News.
At the American Veterinary Medical Association annual convention in Washington, D.C., I spoke with Dr. John Howe, AVMA president, about One Health.
One Health is really a collaboration between physicians and veterinarians or public health officials. For example, in Minnesota, our state public health veterinarian deals with zoonotic diseases, rabies, for example. Animals are sentinels for humans, and humans are sentinels for some infections in animals.
There's more valuable information at avma.org.
The Trump administration, before the day is over, to announce some new guidelines concerning religious observances as the pandemic is still going on. Here's more from USA Radio's John Hunt.
President Donald Trump said that his administration will release guidelines for reopening places of worship this weekend after they were delayed by a disagreement with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention over what the recommendation should entail. Trump said he told the CDC to put out the guidelines, which have been revised by the White House officials in recent days to make them less stringent than the ones the agency initially recommended. According to senior administration officials, the guidelines for places of worship that have been cleared by the White House counsel's office include recommendations such as wearing gloves while distributing Holy Communion, social distancing, and holding virtual service as a last resort. For USA Radio News, I'm John Hunt.
Gas prices this Memorial Day weekend, the lowest since 2003. Of course, it's because of the pandemic, or at least partly so. AAA reporting the average gallon of unleaded regular nationally is $1.87. The first time it's been below $2 during the Memorial holiday in 17 years. And Amazon is pushing Prime Day back to September this year. The company deciding to move the 2-day annual big sales event because of the coronavirus pandemic. It's put financial strain on a lot of Americans and also on the company. And for USA Radio News, I'm Chris Barnes.
If you have diabetes and you're on Medicare, Medicaid, or have private insurance, you may qualify.
And welcome to the Conservative Watch Hour here on the Source, WOCA 1370 AM and 96.3 FM. Good morning to you all on this MAGA Friday as we go into a MAGA Monday, Memorial Day weekend. Ann Vandersteel, you there, my dear?
I am, Annie. Happy MAGA Friday to you. How are you, my dear?
Fantastic. This is Annie Marie Delgado here with my co-host Ann Vandersteel with Steel Truth, and I am just so delighted and so excited. I can say those two words hand in hand because we've got so much going on, and we have one absolutely magnificent guest that we have on with us today that has been a dear friend to not just myself, but to many, many, many people. And so I'm going to run right into that. Today we have with us Congressman Brian Mast from District 18 here in Florida. And Congressman Brian Mast, as I said, has been a true friend to not just myself, but the state of Florida. He represents us in Washington, D.C., as a U.S. Congressman and has been doing an amazing, amazing job. Are you there, Brian?
I am here. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome, my dear friend. Welcome.
Thank you. I'll apologize in advance. If you do hear anything in the background, I'm out at one of my cemeteries. We're placing flags with one of my great motorcycle groups, Reverence Motorcycle Association. So if you do hear anything in the background, it's because of the location, but it's Memorial Day weekend, so there's no place I'd rather be.
Right on. Absolutely fantastic. Well, we just applaud you for everything that you do, Brian. You know, there is so much that goes into all that you do as a congressman, and a lot of folks don't really realize what it takes, and for you to be, as I started the show off with a MAGA Friday, of course, going into a MAGA Monday, Memorial Monday, and all the different things that are going to be happening during the weekend. So we are so grateful and thankful for you and your service, especially your service to our country. You're just an amazing, amazing man. And I just want to give you the opportunity to first give us a little update. Well, you just gave us a little bit one as to where you are, and perhaps as to where the nation is with some of the things that are going on in the House, and then we can touch base on a couple other things. How's that?
Yeah, I mean, the House update, what's going on in the House of Representatives, that's an easy update. You can sum it up in one word, and that's squat. There's not squat going on in the House of Representatives. Speaker Pelosi doesn't want to have us back. She hasn't wanted to have us back literally for months. And there's so much that needs to be done and needed to be done. But I think one of the easiest places to look at that was, you think of that program that was helping everybody out, small businesses, the Paycheck Protection loan program that expired for over a week. And where were all the members of Congress? Back home, because Speaker Pelosi wouldn't have us back to Washington, D.C. to vote on these important things. And right now, the same thing is going on.
That is just so disgraceful, and it's so disheartening, because there is so much work that needs to be done, and we could be getting done, but it's very difficult. It's very difficult to understand, or even try to wrap your head around what is she thinking. What is she thinking? There are people in this nation, that need things on so many different levels, and for her to just shut this down and keep all these men and women that the constituents, we the people have elected to represent us, and she has arbitrarily just decided that, well, I'm not going to let any Americans be represented here. It just makes no sense. But no sense.
Look, Memorial Day is a perfect time to try and put that into perspective. And I'm a firm believer that there's one way you serve this country at any level, and that's the way that those that gave their last breath in the defense of this country serve this country with everything you have, not thinking about personal gain, not thinking about personal sacrifice. And I would challenge any of my colleagues in Congress to say, do you actually believe that that is the way that Congress has been serving throughout this pandemic? Have we been working with the urgency that the American people needed? And I don't think anybody could stand up and say, oh, yeah, that's exactly what's been going on.
No. You're absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct, sir. Well, I think that in lieu of all this, though, you have been doing some amazing work for your constituents and for all Floridians, quite frankly. But see, the thing is, it's not just Floridians, because whatever you do and Congress does as a body, and certainly we know how hard the Republicans have been trying to get bills passed and things accomplished, legislation passed, so that it could be better for all Americans, not just people from the state of Florida. However, with that being said, I'd like to touch base a little bit on some of the legislation that you've sponsored. And I have my co-host Ann Vandersteel with me from Steel Truth. She's with us all the time on the Conservative Watch Hour, and I think Ann might have one or two questions, because we want to be able to talk about the amazing
How you doing, Ann?
work that you've been doing.
Great. Hey, Brian, thank you for joining us today. Thank you so much for your service, particularly on this incredibly important weekend where we really need to take a minute at least and thank our nation's veterans, because you all do lay it on the line. Those of us that, just do talking for a living can't even hold a flag compared to what you and your fellow military brothers and sisters
Amen.
have done for us. So appreciate that. Thank you. And I want to also thank you on the incredible work you're doing with respect to these bills you're either sponsoring or co-sponsoring. And I really wanted to zero in on the one that has to do with the coronavirus and holding China accountable. And going back to your Pelosi statement that there's nothing going on in the House, I think she's afraid to have the House come back into session because of people like you that are holding up her good friends in China accountable to the economic devastation our country has unfortunately been exposed to. But worse than that, the loss of life that could have been prevented had China been forthcoming. So can you talk to us a little bit about that bill?
Yeah, so the premise of this was very simple. There's certain places that only the United States of America can be the true leader to lead change for the world, to lead other nations, parliaments, other governments. It's something that we can do that France can't do. England's not going to do. Other countries, the EU is not going to do this. And so it's to say this very simply. We are all completely aware that China was very purposefully being misleading on this virus. They were silencing people within their own country. They were silencing folks from speaking to the World Health Organization. They were doing everything that they could to keep this hidden from the world and their people, regardless of the ramifications. And the point of this legislation that I've worked on is to say the world needs to hold China accountable financially. And I think it would be naive to think that China's going to pull out a checkbook and say, all right, U.S., how much do you want us to write a check for? France, how much do you want to check for? EU, what do you want to check for? And they're going to start cutting checks. They're not going to do it. I think as the globe recognizes what's gone on here, we need to look at this and hold China accountable based upon the debt that they may hold for any individual country. As an example, China still holds about $1.5 trillion of U.S. Treasury bills. So that would be the point in saying we need to encourage every country out there to look at the debt that China may hold for them and holding that as considered liable for the damage that they have allowed to occur here.
Have you, and I think it's a wonderful solution to the problem, to be very clear. I don't think that anybody can argue that that's not a sound proposition, specifically when it comes to just, what's fair is fair. And I think that that's a very sound approach. Have you seen a response from other countries around the world saying, hey, the folks over on Capitol Hill are making some sense here. Perhaps we need to kind of consider the same thing?
Yeah, I've been on the phone with members of parliament in various countries. I sit on the Foreign Affairs Committee. So I was on with some folks from the EU just earlier this week, speaking about this, speaking about a number of other things related to coronavirus. So there is cross-country talk going on this subject. This isn't something that Speaker Pelosi has wanted to speak to me about. I don't think she has a real desire to hold China accountable in any way, shape, or form for this, whether it be through the World Health Organization or asking the EU to do anything or asking the United States House of Representatives to even pass something condemning China. I don't think she has that desire. We all saw her actions as this pandemic was unfolding, saying that, blaming China for any part of this was xenophobic, not allowing travel to and from was xenophobic. She doesn't have her head in reality. She has her head in the refrigerator, as we've all seen.
Oh, yeah. Ice Cream Lady goes to Chinatown. I could see the movie coming. Ice Cream Lady with the $24,000 freezer goes to Chinatown. Okay, well, thank you. It's just, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up, Ann. It's just unbelievable.
No.
It's just unbelievable.
Response to that would be, we need Joe, the refrigerator repairman's response to that. I mean, this is just insanity at its finest. And I go back to people like, Ambassador Rick Grinnell, right, passing the baton to Ratcliffe now to charge the DNI and to continue to declass this information that's coming out. I have to believe this is yet another reason why Pelosi doesn't want to get the House in session, because congressmen like Brian Mast are gnashing their teeth to, let's get the truth out. Let's just get the dirty laundry on the table. Brian, what's the scuttlebutt with that right now over on Capitol Hill?
So I think that's one of the reasons. You're exactly right. You're spot on. If we're sitting in committee hearings that are broadcast on C-SPAN and everywhere else that anybody might be in the room, then you're going to have us speaking about what's going on with this? What did we uncover with that? What happened with this part of the investigation? Why did this occur with FISA? What happened here? And those hard questions are going to be asked. And Speaker Pelosi this is her effort, absolutely, to silence those questions from being answered in the public by all members of the House of Representatives. Now, that's an advantage. That's a strategic, tactical advantage that Speaker Pelosi has. She is the Speaker of the House. If she doesn't want to open up the doors of Congress, they're not going to be opened up. And that's unfortunate because we know she's the wrong person to be holding the keys. But it is the reality of the situation that we sit in right now.
Yes, indeed it is.
Does she get caught up in the executive order from December 21st, 2017? That's really addressing crimes against humanity. Is she going to be part of that detox or de-swamping?
Like I said, I think these are all things that they don't want the questions answered. They don't want to have that uncovered. They don't want to allow the Intel Committee or the, you pick the committee, the Foreign Affairs Committee, where I sit, to start looking at all of these issues, to start saying, hey, can we schedule a hearing on this day in June? Can we schedule a hearing on this day in July where this person from Intel or from the CIA or from wherever can come in and testify to what they were made aware of? They don't want to see that occur because of the names that will come out.
Yes.
Right. Annie, why don't you go to the job stuff with Brian? Because I know he's working on some stuff there with the virtual job.
Yes, he is. There's two things that I'd like to be able to get in because I know that we don't have a whole lot of time, and we're very appreciative of your time, Congressman Mass, for being on with us. But one is I know that you've been working on it, and you did in the district a job fair, so to speak, because there's so much folks that really don't realize that there are still jobs out there. And yes, we have people that are having problems with their unemployment. I got a call from a friend of ours, Dan Mediff, this morning. He says, can you just please, see if you can talk to Mass, have somebody help me? He can't get his unemployment. I get those calls all the time. I'm sure you do as well. But, there's two sides to that. And so I love the video that you did on the jobs fair. Can you touch base a little bit on that?
Yeah, so there's a lot of different ways that we can help. Every single day, myself and my office, we're probably fielding at least 50 calls a day for the last month and a half of individuals saying, hey, I can't get on the website for unemployment, or I haven't heard anything back and I applied, 4 weeks ago, or I haven't heard this or this or this or this. And they're asking for our help. And we do that all day. Anybody that wants to email me, call my office, email me, bjm@mail.house.gov. You'll hit me personally. We will help you through your issue, do everything that we can. But one of the other things that we can do when we're speaking to somebody about unemployment is to say, what is it that you like to do? What job did you lose? What is your dream job? Because we're searching out every single day. We do this jobs fair every day. I do a video announcing the jobs that we found, asking employers in the area, if you're hiring one person or 10 people, let us know, because when somebody calls my office, we'll let them know that somebody's hiring for the exact thing that they're doing, or we'll put that out on our Facebook page or somewhere else so that people can find these jobs narrowed down to within driving distance of our community. We sought them out from USA Jobs, which is the federal portal for any federal jobs, Customs and Border Protection, Fish and Wildlife, Corps of Engineers, you name it. If it's a federal agency, we narrowed it down to the ones within driving distance. All three of the counties I represent, Palm Beach, Martin, St. Lucie counties, jobs with the sheriff's offices, jobs with property appraisers, jobs with private industry, trust companies, environmental companies, you name it. We are out there looking for the jobs every day, because every time we get somebody else back to work, that puts somebody else back to work. That lets them pay their rent and their mortgage and puts somebody else back to work. And that's how we get this country going again.
That is amazing. That is so fantastic, Brian. I do just want to... and I'll ask you this when we wrap up here in a minute, but I received a message from a friend of mine right here on the island of Palm Beach, which is your district, and they received from the Democrat Party a vote by mail form with the box already checked on the form saying that their vote will go through the year 2022. This is astonishing. And as you know, and we just listened to our president once again, how he's in complete opposition of this vote by mail, and here in the state of Florida, during the 2018 midterm elections, we saw exactly what I considered that was their trial run in Broward County and Palm Beach County, when we found boxes of ballots in a school closet, boxes of ballot in a rental car at an airport. Trucks came, hours and hours after the polls were closed with ballots. So we know that was their trial run, and yet we have here in the state of Florida, the Republican Party of Florida has sent out an email to every Republican to vote by mail. Why is it that we have this complete opposition? There is no connect between the Florida Republican Party and our president. Our president is clearly stating what he's doing. He's fighting this nationwide. But yet here in Florida, we're fighting Joe Gruters and the Republican Party as they're trying to sabotage this effort in opposition of our president. And knowing that you're our co-chair for the Trump campaign, can you shed any light as to why this would be happening?
Well, there's a very direct connection between what's going on in Congress with an effort by Speaker Pelosi, which she passed through Congress, by the way, to say we're going to vote remotely there. You're going to have remote committee hearings in this way. And what's going on in vote by mail. When you look at this in the House of Representatives, she now doesn't even need a quorum within the House of Representatives to go out there and allow something to be passed. This is all working together in conjunction with one another to support this system that Speaker Pelosi and the DNC want to use to go out there, steal an election, and steal the approval of legislation through the House of Representatives and other places. It is all a very connected effort, and I can say from my side of it, as a member of the House of Representatives, though it is now passed that we can do some of these things remotely, you are not expected to see one member of the Republican delegation voting by proxy or from a distance, which we believe is unconstitutional. We will all be in Washington, D.C., in person for these votes live, as just an example of saying, this is not going to stand, this doing everything from a distance, whether it's voting on the ground or whether it's in Washington, D.C. It's all connected, and we're going to stand against that.
Well, good. I hope that you stand against the Republican Party of Florida then, because we need your help here, along with every other congressman in the state of Florida, when we're dealing with, I'm getting phone calls left and right from all over, different counties, different folks, RECs, on and on. They're so frustrated, like, why is this man doing this? He's going in direct opposition of our president once again. So I don't want to take up much more time on that. I just hope that perhaps you get the message, because I'm speaking for thousands of people across this state that are very concerned as to what's happening with the Republican Party of Florida here and the opposition to our president. That being said, Brian, I would like people to be able to reach out and contact you, especially in the district for the job fairs, or if they have problems with because I do know your staff very well, and you have an amazing staff, and they have just done, and it doesn't matter, because I know them, and people call from other areas, and they're so very helpful. So you've been able to create a team there that is unbelievable. So would you kindly give us a way that folks can reach out to you?
Absolutely. Again, just reach out to me personally. My email, it's my initials, BJM, for Brian Jeffrey Mast, bjm@mail.house.gov, and somebody will reach me, and we help everybody in a one-on-one basis. Want to do everything that we can. If somebody needs assistance, we're happy to be any type of gateway that we can to federal agencies. I don't have the same jurisdiction over state agencies that I do federal agencies, but we'll still do everything that we can to reach out and help and assist until we get their issue brought to resolution.
Well, that is fantastic, sir. We thank you so very much. I wish you and your family a blessed and beautiful weekend and a happy Memorial Day. Thank you for your service to this nation. And we are so delighted you took this time with us. I know that you have another meeting you have to get into. With that, I bid you a blessed day, my dear. Have a wonderful weekend.
Annie and Ann, I wish you all both the best. You all take care.
Thank you. Blessings to you.
Thank you.
Miss Ann.
Fantastic. I mean,
Yep.
you really have to applaud people like Brian Mast who are out there staying so incredibly engaged, always on the move. Now he's actually providing, as a conduit, job opportunities for people in this corona unemployment economy, which of course is a man-made disaster that could have been prevented, but it is what it is. And with the leadership of people like Brian Mast and, of course, our incredible president, we're going to flip this back around. I have no doubt about that. I'm very excited about that. And, of course, it always gives us something to look forward to be that, incredible, comeback kid. And Brian Mast is in the fight right now. I'm looking at, I've been in the YouTube chat room right now, and I'm dropping links here, and I'm looking at the press releases that are being put out by his team. And this man is busy. They're putting stuff out, and they're engaged. I mean, we didn't even get to talk about the fact that, he's out there talking about how Big Sugar wants our water, and they've enlisted Congress to steal it for them. I mean, he's fighting and taking on the people that are helping create the problems in our water system down here in Florida, which has been, Andy, how long have we had problems with water in
Florida? Forever and a day.
How long? Forever and a day.
Forever and a day. Since I was a kid fishing in the Okeechobee, I mean, I'll tell you, we've known this, but this is why I'm so glad, and he'll be back on with us, and he'll be back on with us and continue to update us. But I'm so glad that the message is out there, because there's so many misinformation and people putting out, as they do, they attack the president every day, they attacked myself, my colleagues, they attack Brian by the same way, in the same fashion, with lies and made-up fabricated stories that are not true, and this is why it gives us an opportunity to put the truth out there and hear it from the horse's mouth. And he certainly will be back on with us to continue to give us updates. But that water issue is tremendous, and what he's done has been tremendous.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's the president is getting the Army Corps to help, do some things down here, and Brian Mast is in the middle of it. But he's also holding Big Sugar accountable. Right. So that's important. Yep. Listen, I'm not to knock our industry down here, because Big Sugar is an important industry in the state. But there has to be a happy medium for the residents, for the ecosystem, and for the businesses. There is a happy medium. It can't be one size fits all, and there's a way to do it. And Brian is now holding people and shining a light on stuff, and I appreciate that. We need to do it.
Yep.
And there's a way. President Trump can have a big bulldozer too when it comes into fixing these problems, and sometimes you need to get the weight of the federal government in there. So we'll see what happens.
Exactly. Well, going into a commercial break now, Ann, and we'll continue this conversation. So we'll see you at the next half hour here on the Conservative Watch Hour.
I'm Chris Foster. A lot more states are easing coronavirus restrictions heading into this Memorial Day weekend. Alaska's dropping them altogether.
All businesses at 100%. Businesses in Alabama, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Michigan, North Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, and Vermont either finally welcoming customers or eliminating more restrictions on their road back to economic normalcy.
Fox's Todd Pyro. Federal guidelines for houses of worship to be open safely could come out today. President Trump says during a trip to Michigan,
they're so important in terms of the psyche of our country. Beyond, to me, they use the word essential. I think churches are essential.
The Trump administration had been reluctant to have any restrictions on religious organizations announced. American flags at federal buildings are at half-staff for 3 days for coronavirus victims, then through Monday for Memorial Day. America's listening to Fox News.
The big media is at war with President Trump. Now, Newsmax TV reveals the media's dangerous agenda. Watch Newsmax TV and see shows with Chris Salcedo, Sean Spicer, and Greg Kelly as they expose the fake news. Newsmax TV is America's fastest-growing cable channel on DirecTV, Xfinity, Dish, Spectrum, Optimum, Cox, Fios, Uverse, Suddenlink, Mediacom, WOW, Armstrong, CenturyLink, and more. Just check your channel guide. Everyone is talking about Newsmax TV, so watch it today.
When you go to the mechanic in here,
pass me the torque. Nope, let me have the flamethrower.
That sounds wrong. You know what else sounds wrong? When you hear about the interest you're earning on your savings with the largest banks. But with a Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account, you could earn much more interest. And hear this. Open a Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account in minutes at marcus.com. You can money.
Comparison made to the 3 largest U.S. banks measured by total deposits. Rates as of February 4th, 2020 and may vary by state. Goldman Sachs Bank USA, member FDIC.
Casting from the Paddock Mall Studios, this is WOCA, Ocala, Gainesville, The Villages, 1370 AM, 96.3 FM, The Source.
On May 26th at 10:50, Adam's guest will be Sam Ness, author and performer of the song Forgiveness. Sam has teamed up with the International Forgiveness Institute to produce a therapeutic music discussion video, which is available at no cost on YouTube and IFI's website. Again, that's 10:50 a.m. on the 26th. Everyone needs a little forgiveness in their lives. Listen, be inspired. It's news you can use from IFI and your friends at WOCA, The Source.
Uh-oh.
Is that what I thought it was?
As long as you don't think it was me running over a sprinkler head, then no, it wasn't.
Oh, brother.
Don't worry about it. I'll just add it to the honey-do list.
If you had signed up for Mike Scott Plumbing's irrigation package in the first place, you wouldn't have to do anything.
What? Mike Scott Plumbing does irrigation too?
Yeah. I told you they have packages where they take care of everything.
Yeah, but I broke it, so they're not going to cover that.
But with their annual irrigation maintenance plans, you never have to pay for another service charge or broken sprinkler head ever again, regardless of the fault.
So that means I break it, they fix it.
That's what I said, Mr. Genius.
Okay, you win. How do I sign up?
I thought you'd never ask. Call Mike Scott Plumbing today and ask about their irrigation maintenance plans. 237-2888. That's 237-2888.
Mike Scott Plumbing. If water runs through it, we do it.
Ever said, what's happened to the work ethic? Does anyone care about doing a good job? Shepherd November, local author, will be Adam's guest on Tuesday, May 26 at 8:35 a.m. to tell us about his series of 4 books that address just that subject. From his own experiences in the automotive industry and other fields, you will hear his take on the problem. That's the 26th at 8:35 a.m. One man's take on the demise of the pride in the workforce.
WOCA. Today and tomorrow, partly sunny with a thunderstorm and spots in the afternoon. High today 90 to 95. High tomorrow 88 to 94. Sunday, cloudy with a thunderstorm and spots. High 86 to 92. Monday, clouds and sun with a shower or thunderstorm in the afternoon. High 86 to 90. Tuesday, some sunshine followed by clouds with a shower or thunderstorm. High 86 to 90. From the Florida Weather Center, I'm Brian.
WOCA.
And welcome back to the Conservative Watch Hour here at WOCA, The Source, 1370 AM and 96.3 FM. My name is Annie Marie Delgado. I'm here with my co-host Ann Vandersteel from Steel Truth. How are you, Ann?
Annie, always good to be with you on the next half hour of the show because we rock it on MAGA Fridays, girl. We've got exciting stuff to tell our listeners that we've got happening for the president's birthday bash.
Oh, yeah.
June 4th. All over Florida. This state's going to erupt into a massive Trump celebration. If we can't have a Trump rally, well, heck, we're just going to make our own, aren't we, Annie?
And we sure did, and you're absolutely correct. I can tell you that Trump Team 2020 Florida is proud to announce that we are celebrating the birthday of President Donald J. Trump on June the 14th across the whole state. Now, some of you have probably seen on different videos and television, and if you watch Hannity, we did a wonderful event and with all our boats in Palm Beach County. But here's the deal: now we're not just doing the boats. And we're doing boats, we're doing trucks for Trump, we got boaters for Trump, we got our veterans and our bikers for Trump. But we're starting the same day across this whole state. And if you could just pretend you're a drone and you're up looking down from the top of the state, Pensacola. It's Pensacola, all the boats are coming out. Jacksonville, the boats are coming down. Central Florida keeps going down. The Villages, Vero Beach, Palm Beach, all the boats are going out. All the trucks are going to go on to I-95, head south. Once they're on, then all the motorcycles are coming in behind them. Down in West Palm Beach, then Broward County, same thing. And Miami, one of our newest chapters, of course, which is Hialeah, Trump Team 2020 Florida, Hialeah chapter, and Julio Martinez, they have hundreds of their trucks already in place. This is all going to take place, and it's going to be a huge celebration for our president's birthday throughout the state. But not only that, our main goal and our initiative for Trump Team 2020 Florida, we've been doing it for quite some time, is voter registration. So everyone that's going to be on land, we're also going to be doing voter registration because it's so vitally important to make sure that people are registered to vote when we know, and we've spoken about this before, that we have 1.2 million veterans that are not registered. So all our veterans and our bikers are going to come out to help our folks and do what we can. There's going to be food celebration, bands. We have another tentative event that I'll just say a little sneak peek about it, which is going to include a huge major country artist along with all the other bands that are going to be playing in different locations around the state. It is going to be one huge party.
I can't wait. This kind of the genesis of this was, well, of course, Trump Team 2020 Florida, which is your fantastic grassroots organization that has just delivered Florida in 2016 and will do it again in 2020 for the president. But, Carlos Gavidia with the Voters for Trump, he decided that he wanted to be a part of the Trump team, and so he has his own chapter now, Voters for Trump, which is part of Team 2020 Florida. And it was so successful when he had his little Trump boat parade. So successful, the media just gave it a footnote. Well, now we're going to have the entire state erupt into a massive party with truckers for Trump and bikers for Trump, veterans for Trump, and voters for Trump, and all these cities around Florida all kicking off at 11 a.m. The media, do you think they're going to be able to ignore it now, Annie?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And let's not forget our latest chapter, which is Wings for Trump. Wings for Trump. I know. This is a group. It's a dear friend of mine. I hadn't spoken to him in years, but he's a beautiful man, a great guy, and they're all professional pilots, registered professional pilots, but they're piloting drones. So all the drones are going to be from Pensacola all the way down across the whole state and videoing this whole state in movement. They're not going to be able to ignore that and let them. Who cares? Because we're going to have this out around the world. It will be millions and millions and millions of people due to the wonderful help and cooperation and joining us. The other organizations I speak of often that are joining us, like Steel Truth, like Your Voice America, like the Matrix Groovers Hour, and all these other organizations that will be able to put this out in all of our Twitter groups. We've already had confirmation, of course, and we know that Eric Trump has already contacted us, and as did Donald Trump Jr. They're fully aware of what we're doing, and we're going to make this a massive celebration for the president's birthday. But not only that, a massive voter registration effort across the nation as well. We've been doing that, and we work with the different faith-based groups, the churches, and different organizations. But I can say that this is probably going to be the largest one-time weekend that will be recorded on record as to the massive amounts that we're going to be doing and making a difference.
Okay, Annie, I've got a question for you because I'm watching you on YouTube while we're doing this radio show together, and I'm looking at that hat. And Mr. Fantastic in our YouTube chat, Mr. Fantastic 1951, every time he comes in chat, he says, "I want that hat." Is this going to be your uniform for the president's birthday bash? I think the viewing audience wants to know now.
Is it going to be my what?
Your uniform for the president's birthday bash.
Of course, I've already stated. I'm going to wear this hat and this scarf right until November 3rd, 2020, Election Day. I'll change my blouse, and sometimes I wear jackets depending on what venue I'm at or what have you. But it's funny you should say that because this hat is going to be auctioned off, and yes, indeed, we certainly will make it available. to folks, because I get that asked quite often, and they're like, I want you. Sometimes I get some really funny stuff. They're like, I just want to smell your sweat on the hat. I'm like, okay, that's a strange request.
Oh, boy, okay. All right, Andy. Well, you guys heard it here first. Andy's auctioning off that fantastic American flag cowboy hat. Signature look, especially on this radio show. And anytime the Trump Team 2020 is out in force, Andy's got that hat on.
That's right. Absolutely.
That's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about Beijing Biden, because Beijing Biden stuck his foot in his big old mouth again when he declared Friday morning. He was on the Breakfast Club radio show with co-host Charlemagne, and he said to Charlemagne, because Charlemagne said, November was a long way off, and they still had some more questions, and Biden's response was, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Wow.
What?
What? That's like when Hillary was pretending to speak Southern. Remember that? She's like, and y'all this, and I'm like, oh my God, please. How fake could these people be, and how unrealistic can Biden be? Unbelievable.
Pretty unrealistic.
How disrespectful.
100% disrespectful. Do you think the American public, when they heard that, particularly the audience, that Charlemagne, who is an African-American man, he's a respected radio host, do you think his audience welcomed that response, or were they like, what is up with that?
Absolutely not, especially when they're listening to what he was saying, if you can understand it, because sadly enough, and I feel strongly against talking about him, because his dementia is painfully obvious, and then when he starts talking some of these stats, and he says, there's oh jeepers, it's sad. I really, because I don't want to make fun of him. I really don't like it. I don't like anyone making fun of him. I don't want any postings on my Facebook groups or pages, any of them, making fun of him for his dementia, because it's not right. It's not fair. My father died from it. I know how painful that is for the family members that are going through that. But I just still think, I'd like to ask his wife, where's the love for your husband? Take him home. Take him home. Stop letting them do this to him and drag him through this, because the things that he says, first and foremost, that has to be absolutely, because it's so disgraceful. And the listening audience, especially, that he was reaching out to and saying that, well, then you ain't black. Who the hell are you, white boy, to tell me I'm not black? Is what I would imagine their response is.
Yeah, I know. I don't even know what to say, but I agree. I call it elder abuse, and Jill Biden really needs to, do the right thing by her husband and just let him go out peacefully. I mean, this is not a way to be remembered as this unhinged, senile person who's continually embarrassing themselves on the public stage, because it really is it's humiliating, and I just don't understand. I don't understand it. No. I have to think maybe there's a bigger reason here, but that's a whole other discussion.
I'm straight up. It's Satan. That's Satan at work. I'm just calling it what it is, the way I believe. That's Satan at work. Satan's on a rampage. I pray for that. I pray for that man every single day. I pray for a lot of people every single day, as we have our Trump prayer line every morning, 7:00, and I can tell you, we also pray on Sunday. But we know that the Lord leads us to pray for our enemies as well. And I really just don't think. I think and sadly enough, Joe Biden's his own enemy. And I think that his family is his enemy, because they're letting him go through this for their own selfish gain, selfish monetary gain.
Yep. Well, they made a lot of money. A lot of money has gone missing.
Oh, buku.
It's paid. So, and Hunter Biden is in a lot of trouble. Heck, the Ukrainians are going after him all now. They want a piece of the action. So that's going to play. All right. Speaking of unhinged, Annie, I don't know if you thought this yesterday. The Michigan Attorney General.
Oh my!
She actually got CNN, and she was so faux outraged because President Trump didn't wear a mask when he was at the Ford. He said he's not welcome here and threatened charges against Ford. First of all, who is she to threaten our largest employer that's trying to save Detroit, number one? Number two, Ford, I just sent a tweet to them saying, you are welcome to our beautiful state of Florida. We have lots of land and people who'd love to work at your plant, and we have a favorable tax system down here, by the way. It's a lot better for your employees. But who is she to threaten the president? I mean, who is she? Does this woman have any idea? I mean, we know that the governor of Michigan is completely unhinged, but now the AG, I guess the sociopaths surround themselves with sociopaths. What do you think?
Well, I've always said that. You know, there is a difference. There's sociopaths and there's psychopaths. Psychopaths are the Jeffrey Dahmers of the world. They like to do their own killing and eat their own kills, so to speak. Sociopaths, they cluster. I have witnessed many sociopaths in many different areas, but this is just, they're out there blatantly displaying themselves as the sociopaths because first and foremost, yes, indeed, you know, we welcome, listen, with the work that Ford has done up there, it is just asinine, because this woman, first of all, one of them wants to be vice president so bad, you know, and the other one, what are you thinking? There's just communist actions, and that's, you know, been made very clear where the Democrat Party has gone to. It's now the Communist Socialist Party. And, you know, Bernie's has put it all out there, as did every single one of them when they were doing their candidates debate. Do not ever forget. Every single one of them were for that same agenda. So they've already disclosed who they really are. And that is part of the communist way. Well, no, sorry. Thank you, President Trump, for not wearing your mask, because millions of Americans that know the truth, we're here with you. But more importantly, thank you, Ford, for what you have done and GE Healthcare as well. And as those wonderful American companies stepped up to the plate, making all of the ventilators and masks and so much more. If you watched and listened to all that they have done. So we have some little communists, actually two of them, AG and a governor. We'll go ahead and try it. You know, they've already destroyed Detroit, Flint. Look what they did with the water in Flint. How sad was that when we had to watch these little children? I mean, they couldn't even drink water. It was so terrible. So, you know, they're running this state into the ground. The only thing that's really been keeping them up has been people like Ford and different wonderful American companies that haven't decided to move out of there. But if they continue this, you know, maybe they will. And we certainly will be here. And I certainly am happy to be their land acquisition broker for them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at the Attorney General, then you look at Governor Gretchen Whitmer's. You know, believe it or not, a judge dismissed the lawsuit that the GOP brought against the governor to her extended stay-at-home order. The GOP in Michigan was trying to do the right thing and challenge the fact that Whitmer wants to keep everybody at home, God knows how long.
Yeah.
And the judge dismissed the case. So that's obviously going to have to be appealed and go up the food chain in the judicial system, because AG Barr has even said he's going to be looking at cases around the country, looking at what governors are doing to determine if what they're doing is constitutionally lawful or not. And we're seeing cases all over the country, whether they're gym owners or salon owners or any kind of small business owner. Heck, we have a congressional Colorado's 3rd District. I just interviewed her last week. Mm-hmm. She owns a restaurant, famous restaurant. And she was told that, you know, they were going to have a variance so they could open, and she did, and then they shut her down. And so she tried to have her restaurant open outside, and then they pulled her food permit away. So this is just the continuation of a Stasi tyrannical regime run by a select few governors. And if you look at those states that are acting this way, you're also going to see that there's something funny with their coronavirus numbers.
Yes, absolutely. And if you look at it, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that the coronavirus numbers out of these same states where these governors are trying to force people to say, you're starting to see a pattern here. And, you know, Governor DeSantis said it beautifully yesterday. Believe it or not, Florida has 2 million more residents than New York State does now. We used to be behind, now we're ahead. But we have far fewer case fatality deaths. We have far fewer deaths in the state of Florida and far fewer cases than New York. And even though the planes kept coming down here, why is that? That's the way they're being reported, maybe. I mean, God knows, President Trump put a ship out there in the harbor, turned Javits Center into a 2,500-bed hospital.
That's right.
They had more beds do with, and they didn't use them. Instead, what did the Governor Cuomo do? He stuck the corona patients in the elderly care homes. Are you kidding me?
Oh no, he needs to be held accountable for it. Blood is on your hands, Governor Cuomo. The blood's on your hands. You did this unnecessarily so because the president provided all your needs. That ship was out there, like you just said, Ann, plus the Kravitz Center, which they didn't even use it. And for him to take people that are infected and put them with elderly people that are the most vulnerable and cause their deaths to the thousands of them. Thousands. Oh, no.
Annie.
Sue him.
Crimes against humanity. It's crimes against humanity.
Absolutely.
There's an executive order. Take him and take all his assets. He has to forfeit everything. It's a crime against humanity what he did.
Absolutely it is. And if you look at it, being that we are on the Conservative Watch Hour, I will speak as a conservative because this is true. The fact is, if you take a look at where this misreporting, inflated numbers are happening, is in Democrat-controlled states with these Democrat governors.
That's right.
And it is an atrocity because it's very clear. Many other states, and yes, we here in Florida, we have 22 million. They have 20 million. We have more residents than they do. We performed exemplary because we have a governor that worked and was doing. Now, he's not perfect, okay? I could say I probably have one or two things that I could, think of that I wasn't so happy with. But overall, Governor DeSantis, you did a great job. Kudos to you.
Yeah.
Blessings to you. He did a great job.
Listen, New York, we have more elderly population down here than they do in New York. Now, why is it that we didn't have the death rate that New York did? Oh, it's because we weren't putting sick people in with, the nursing homes population. This is not how you protect your population.
No.
I'm so disgusted by that, and I have a very dear friend whose dad ended up in a rehab facility because he had back surgery. There was corona in the hospital. They moved him, and then they moved corona into the rehab facility, and he passed away. He passed away, and he had multiple morbidities. It wasn't as if he had just corona, but of course it's being counted as a corona death. And he ended up getting corona in a facility that they brought corona into, and she is beside herself. This was her light, her mentor, her everything, and I talked to her on the phone. I cry because I'm just so upset for her. She's a beautiful person. She's going to come on. She's organizing. She's doing protests. She's writing letters, and she's mobilizing people in New York State to fight Governor Cuomo on what he did because he is directly responsible for her father's death. Exactly. I'm going to put it right out there.
Well, that's so sad to hear, but but there's multiple cases like that, and that doesn't justify her pain and doesn't make it any easier because they're all in pain. Can you imagine? I mean, I would be going ballistic. I would hunt him down if you killed one of my parents because that's what he did. He killed her father.
That's exactly what he did.
He killed him. Yeah.
No, he did. He
must
killed her
be held
father.
accountable, and it's disgusting, and it's happening in all these Democrat states. Democrat-controlled, I will say. But, by the same token, there are plenty of Democrats within these states, and that's why 420,000 people have moved out of New York in the last 3 months.
That's exactly right. Florida's doing well, and all my friends in real estate are saying they have people buying homes from New York, sight unseen, just going on the internet and buying houses here in Florida. They said,
happening right now with me. I mean, my nieces and nephews that were left on Long Island, they're all moving down within the next month. Everything, I'll get them all out of there. Thank God.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All right, lastly, because I know we only got a couple minutes left, Annie, we have the birthday party.
We got 5 minutes. We're good.
We got 5 minutes. All right, so here's another unhinged governor. My God. Poor husband, his family's from the great state of Illinois, and it's all great except for Cook County. But you've got the unhinged Governor Pritzker. You know what this guy did? He was caught sending Illinois construction workers to Wisconsin to work on his mansion during the Illinois lockdown. Seriously, what makes him above the law to have his own mansion being worked on when there's supposed to be a coronavirus shutdown? How does he get around the law? Do they just, I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I'm speechless.
Well, come on, that's corruption. It's like how did Marion Barry get elected when he was in prison as a crackhead? Come on, are you kidding me? Let's see. Open the book. This is the playbook, okay? The big D on the front, Democrat playbook. Open the page, find the page, and this is how you do it. Are you kidding me? It's look, again, when these people stop voting these people in, perhaps they'll get some sense of sanity back into those areas, because I can tell you, I used to go to Caledonia, Illinois. It's a beautiful area outside of Rockford. Loved it. Used to visit Chicago for conventions and different things that we did. Yeah, well, you couldn't pay me to go to that state. Any part of it now. Even my friends from there have moved and left those areas. So, but they're still very good people. But when you get these, it's the corruption, and it's all about follow the money. Follow the money.
That's exactly right.
Follow the money. That's all that they have that in common. Not to say that it doesn't happen on the Republican side. I know a few creeps that are doing that too on the Republican side, and I think they're just as they're more dirtbags, because you go around and you profess that you're Christian, you're wearing that Bible on your sleeve and all this stuff, and what are you doing behind people's backs and the things that you're doing? No, and if you think for 1 minute that God's not watching, of course He is. But they all do the same thing.
That's right. That's exactly right. Well, lastly, I just want to talk national or international in scope here, and then I want you to tell everybody how they can get to the Eventbrite and sign up for the President's Birthday Bash, because I think people are going to want to figure out how they can get to Florida or down, where they can go in Florida to get to participate. Whether it's truckers, fighters, or both.
It's not just Florida, because we're working with South Carolina and many other states, and it's going to go on. This is you're going to see this go on all through the summer. We got 2 minutes left, Annie. So what did you said? You had one more thing?
Bring this out there because in case people haven't seen this, there's evidence right now out there that's surfacing that indicates the entire plot to prevent President Trump from winning the 2016 election started in Italy. And in fact, George Papadopoulos, our friend George, he's toured. I've interviewed him a couple times. Great guy. He says this morning, we now know that Italy was involved in spying on me, meaning George, in Rome with Miss Hood and the Flynn case. Durham's probe, who is the U.S. attorney from Connecticut that's working for Barr, his probe became criminal after learning about this from the Italian officials. Key question is, why did Obama have the Italian prime minister visit him in October 2016, right when the spying ramped up? And I know George has told me this before, eyes on Italy, because, Matteo, who's the former leader of Italy, held meetings in Italy in 2016 and early 2017. So this is...
That's it.
Adding another...
There's more to come with that, Ann, but I got 1 minute left here, girlfriend, and believe you me, there is so much more that's going to be coming out on all this stuff. But right now, we're going to head to the end of our show here, and I want to be able to make sure that folks stay tuned. We're going to be after this weekend posting all the information for our major statewide Trump Team 2020 Florida birthday rally for the president.
Where are you posting that, Annie?
It's going to be on Facebook at Trump Team 2020 Florida. We'll have, and on my page as well, Annie Marie Delgado. And we're going to have all the ways that you can sign up, all the ways that you can participate, register your boat, register your truck, register your bike, support our voter registration efforts. And with that, I'm going to wish you all a beautiful weekend. Happy Memorial Day to you all. You can reach us at Trump Team 2020 Florida. FL, that is, at gmail.com or 561-779-3535. Again, that number is 561-779-3535. God bless you all.
Cecil should not take her anger and stupidity out on Ford.
Fox's John Decker. A passenger plane with 98 people on board crashes in a residential